Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Nerd Ledger. Man, oh man, hello, I'm Cage. It feels good to just be able to chill out a little bit, just to sit down and talk a little bit, because my past couple days have been nonstop. All right, I don't even really have that much nerd stuff to talk about today. It's really just nothing's really happening. I was busy, like I said, the past couple days, so not able to podcast with Chair. So I wanted to just talk, just talk, just put something out there. Um, there's a couple things in the nerd world going on, but nothing really significant. The only thing that maybe people are talking about right now is the Lanterns teaser trailer. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't watch it, but I've seen a lot of reaction to it, and a lot of people are not very happy. And I think it's just because people are not happy about anything ever. There's no green glow to their flying. There's no green in the suit. Blah 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 blah. Listen, this is a new thing. Things need to evolve. They need to start from somewhere. Daredevil's first suit in the Netflix series wasn't the OG Daredevil suit, right? We had to wait for that. And it's like that with a lot of these evolutions of characters. They start with something not quite great and eventually morph into something pretty great. Sometimes they start with something great, but not always, right? So for me, it's a wait and see. I'll watch the trailer, and Cher and I will talk about it, and if there's anything relevant there to be angry about or whatever, then we'll talk through all of that. But that trailer actually dropped while I was walking a show hall because the past couple of days I've been at this massive convention. Not a nerd convention, but I will tell you that having gone to many nerd conventions, I always kind of assumed that it was a nerd thing, to have very little self-awareness or spatial awareness or social awareness. But it's really just people. There are so many people that just stop in the middle of aisles, don't look around, don't know what's going on around them, push through crowds. Like, if people just, followed simple rules, this wouldn't be a real issue. And I get it, like, everyone's a little different, but it's important to be aware of your surroundings, be aware of what's going on around you, and just be respectful of that, because when you're at a convention with 60,000 other people, things are going to get crowded, there's going to be traffic jams, and a lot of those are caused by people literally just stopping in the middle of a walkway. So, but yeah, I went to this convention, not a nerd convention, it's a food convention, for work, and I had to fly. I don't like flying that much, but it was fine. The flight was fine. What I will say is, on the way there, my flight's at 7:20 in the morning. Get to the airport at 5:45 ish, and even for me, that's cutting it a little close. Okay, I understand the people who don't want to be on the plane any longer than they have to be, don't want to be in the airport any longer than they have to be. I get all that, but I just want to get through. Every step of the way is a step of anxiety for me. So making sure I'm checked in, which great, we can do that all digitally now. I don't have TSA pre-check, but I get nervous. What if the line takes an hour and a half? Then I'm gonna miss my flight. That's scary shit. So I just want I want to get there. I want to get through TSA. I want to get to the gate and just chill. And, if I have to chill for 2 hours, I'm okay with that, because I like to be early to places. And, we're only flying, the flight was only an hour and 10 minutes. So we're not on the plane very long. And, a lot of these domestic flights like that are really quick, a lot of people show up 10 minutes before they board. And, you board 30 minutes before you take off. And so it messes with me and my anxiety levels a little bit. But yeah, I got there literally an hour before boarding. and my bag went through security and it got put to the side so they could look through it. And I was like, oh no, what's gonna happen here? You start thinking, did I put something in there I wasn't supposed to on accident? Did I forget to take something out that's in there what's going on? Everything was fine. It just took a little bit of time because there were like 4 people in front of me on that side. Got to the gate. I'm still like one of the first 3 people in my group that like we're all going. So it was like 20 of us or 30 of us or something. And I get there, I'm like, oh, only 2 other people are here. 30 minutes before boarding. But yeah, when I was going through security, there was a little child there crying, and I never felt so positive about a decision I made than that moment, because that's something I never want to experience. I do not want children, and it's something like when I grew up, you kind of want what you have, right? Like I had a sister, it was just me and her. And as you grow up, you think one day I'm gonna get married and I'm gonna have 2 kids, hopefully a girl and a boy. And that's how I thought, right? Not everybody thinks that way, but that's how I thought, like for a long time, because I thought those were the things you're supposed to do, right? Like that's kind of how we grow up. But not everybody thinks that way. That's just how I thought it was. Like, this is the way life is supposed to go, and so it's gonna go that way. And I think a lot of people think about that in like the job market too. Like, I'm gonna get a good job and build wealth and buy a house because that's how life goes. That's what I'm supposed to do. I can tell you, I'm 32. I don't own a house. I don't have children, and I'm not going to. Like, I don't know what age, but even when I first started dating my current wife, I don't know why I say current, like I have other wives, but my wife, when we first started dating, we talked about kids, right? And like, we had ideas of like, oh, we want, we have a boy, we would name him this, and a girl, and we name her this. And it was probably, I don't know, 2 years ago that, I sat down with her one day. It was like a long day out because I was working, every day. Like I was working my weekend job. That's like the summer I started doing it. And, I'd worked like 50 days in a row, and I'd been thinking about it when I was walking around that job, and I was like, man, I don't think I actually want children. It's not like we were never actively trying to have children. We never really like talked beyond like, it was more of a, if it happens, it happens, and like, maybe it's an act of God or something. I don't necessarily believe in that, but like if she got pregnant, then, we're meant to have a kid. So it's never happened. And again, like 2 years ago, I told her, like, pretty much, these are important conversations to have, by the way, in relationships, especially as things change. It's okay for you to change your mind about things. Obviously, it's not as okay right after, if you have a child, you're like, no, I don't want a child anymore. That could be a little dicey. Not saying that's not okay, but that, it could be a little tough once the kid's there. But yeah, it was probably, a couple years ago where I just kind of sat down with her after work, and I was like, I don't know if I actually want children, and I understand if that's something you do want, this could be an issue, right? This could be a make or break in a relationship if this is a deal breaker, right? So that's a tough conversation to have, but you have to be okay with it. And obviously, I want to present all the angles, and I don't want her to just say, oh, I'm okay with it and stay with me when she's not okay with it. That's how you build resentment in one way, shape, or form. So we talked about it, and we're aligned. Like, we're people who, we enjoy our time to ourselves. We enjoy spending time with each other. We have a dog, and that's enough responsibility for us. Like, I live life to try to maximize convenience in every way, and children, unfortunately, are incredibly inconvenient. Like, I have coworkers who have children, and like, they live for their children a lot of times, right? And what you should, if you have children, right, like, you no longer live for yourself, really. Like, your whole life is dedicated to raising another human being, which can be incredibly rewarding and everything. And so these are deeply personal decisions, right? but that's not something I want. And I had a consultation with a vasectomy doctor last month, and even him, they have to ask you those questions like, are you sure you don't want kids? How do you know you don't want kids? And I pretty much said the same thing. Like, I have coworkers who they go to work and they work 8, 9, 10 hours. They go home, they pick up their kids from school, they take them to softball practice, they get home at 9 at night, cook dinner. I don't want to do that. I want to leave work when I'm off, go to the gym, go home, cook dinner, take a shower, eat, podcast whenever I want, talk about things that I want. If I want to go out with my wife, take her to dinner, I don't have to worry about finding a babysitter or anything like that. You have certain freedoms that come with not having children. We also lose some freedoms by having a dog because it makes it more difficult to travel. Because then, where is he gonna go? We're the ones who worry about it. Really, yeah, he'd probably be fine. We dropped him somewhere, but for like a week, But we worry about that stuff. So we limit our availability for certain vacations by having a dog too. But I don't have to take my dog to sports practices until 9 at night, or spend my weekends at tournaments and things like that, right? And my mom used to do that for me, right? I wrestled through, from 5th grade pretty much through my freshman year of high school, and my mom would come on Saturdays. We'd leave at 4 a.m. to drive out 2 or 3 hours, and we'd get home at like 1 in the morning. So I appreciate the sacrifices that parents make for their children. I just don't think I want to live my life that way. So as I watched that child crying through security at the airport, I just thought to myself, thank goodness I am getting snipped in a couple weeks, because I don't want that. And that that reassured me a little bit too. And even on my flight back, I was next to some children, like they were in the same row as me, but not on the same side. They actually were pretty well behaved. Like, they didn't really scream or anything, and if they did, I didn't hear them because I had my headphones in. But they seemed like they were well behaved little kids. Like, one was like 1 and one was like 3. They're just coming back from Disneyland. Like, that's another thing. If I go to Disneyland, I want to enjoy going to Disneyland. If I have a kid, I'm going to Disneyland for that kid. And again, 3 years old, what the hell? He can't enjoy that, right? Like, what rides do you go on? Just like Little Mermaid and shit? I want to go on Space Mountain. I can't take a 3-year-old. So I'd have to wait until they were old enough, and then we could have fun, right? 8 years old, 9 years old. Then they become more like your friend a little bit. You can do fun things at Disneyland at that point, but that's a lot of years to wait. I don't want to wait. If I want to go to Disneyland, I want to go, and I want to enjoy it, and I want to go on rides and have fun. Speaking of which, I did go to downtown Disney. I wasn't able to go to Disneyland because I didn't have enough time. Because, like I said, this was nonstop. Literally, Wednesday morning, waking up at 4:30, going. Well, actually, I didn't wake up at 4:30. I woke up at 5. But I went to the airport. Got through everything, got on a plane, landed, got on a bus, checked in the hotel. It was like 8:30, so we couldn't check in yet. But dropped off my bag, walked over to pick up my badge for the convention, walked to convention till 5-ish, walked back to the hotel, got my keys for my hotel room, dropped off all my stuff in there, walked to downtown Disney for a vendor-sponsored dinner, had the dinner, went to the Star Wars shop at like 10 o'clock when this was over. I wanted so badly to buy the Ahsoka lightsabers, the legacy ones, the old school Clone Wars ones. They light up both green or blue. They were fucking sick, and I really wanted to buy them. They weren't even that expensive, but I only brought a carry-on, and I didn't have enough space for them, so I didn't buy them. They said they could ship them to me, but I'm moving in like 3 weeks, so it wouldn't have really worked out too great. Like, they said it takes a couple weeks to ship, so I didn't want to risk that. So that was sad. I didn't buy my Ahsoka lightsabers, but it's also good because they were like almost $300, and I'm very overspent on money this past month because it was my wife and mine, our 5-year anniversary, our 5-year wedding anniversary. It's Valentine's Day. All these things happen in February where I have to spend a bunch of money, and so I didn't really need an extra $300 expense. So, but yeah, all you know. After that, went back to the hotel. Again, this is still Wednesday. Went to bed at like 11. Woke up at 6. Walked with some of my coworkers to downtown Disney for breakfast. Then walked back to the hotel to check out because I'm leaving. Yeah, on Thursday yesterday, I'm leaving, so I had to check out. Went back to the convention, walked that until like 2:15. Walked back to the hotel because our flight's at 5:20. Okay, we get back to the hotel at like 2:40. Bus isn't there. It's like 3 o'clock, and I'm like, yo, our flight leaves in 2 hours and 20 minutes. If it was up to me, I would have been at the airport already. It's like a 20-minute drive from our hotel to the airport. At like 3:05, I'm stressing a little bit because we board at 4:30. That's at an hour and 25 minutes. I pull out my phone. I download the Uber app. How far is it? Like 10 miles. 10 miles from the hotel to the airport. The Uber, $70. Mother sucker, I ain't paying $70, but I almost booked it because I was scared. A bus showed up. We thought, so what happened is we had like a person who, paid for the bus, and they're trying to contact the driver, and it's going straight to voicemail. And so I'm freaking out internally a little bit. I'm like, oh, okay, this guy. What if the fucking bus doesn't come? We're gonna miss the flight. I mentally I said, if it's 3:30 and the bus isn't here, I'm booking an Uber. I'm bringing my closest coworkers right here in my circle with me, and we're going on that Uber. Luckily, a bus did show up that maybe or maybe wasn't. Maybe was for us, and maybe it wasn't. I don't even know. There was some confusion. I walked up and I said, hey, can you take us? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, let's go, guys. And we hopped on the fucking bus, got to the airport at like 4:15, got through TSA. It's a very small airport, so it's actually pretty quick. And then waited okay, it wasn't 4:15. Sorry. My brain stopped working. We got there at like 3:45. So 45 minutes before boarding, I was able to get a coffee. I was so tired, chilled a little bit, got on the plane, came home, got home at like 6:30, picked up some food. I was exhausted. It was just nonstop. And then after I ate my food, I logged in to my work computer and I looked at like 300 emails. So then today, Friday, woke up 5 in the morning, go to work because still had work today. So by the end of the day today, right before I went to the gym, I was so exhausted and I almost skipped the gym just because I was so tired. I was like, I got no energy. But I went anyway because usually if I'm tired and I go to the gym, it builds some adrenaline, wakes you up a little bit. So by the end of the workout, it wasn't as bad. And then I went and picked up some coffee after that. And yeah, and I literally just made dinner, ate it, took a shower, and now I'm here talking. It's been nonstop. So it's been a crazy few days and pretty fun though. It's always good to experience something new because I've never done this before. And what it's all about, get to show off some of the products that I know I'm bringing to certain things. Yeah, it's hard to talk about because I don't want to give much away because I don't know what's proprietary data and what's not, to be honest. But yeah, I got to be there with my bosses and kind of show them certain brands that I'm working with and some of the things that are cool, and I had some coworkers there that walked the show with me, which is really nice because I probably talked about it here before, but I don't really have very many friends. When I'm not at work, I just hang out with my wife and my dog, really. Other than that, I don't really have anyone to hang out with. So it is what it is. I'm trying to make some friends, but it's good to have coworkers who you like and who like you. And, we were able to, I was able to go with them and have fun and then have a nice dinner with the same coworkers and, vendors who I'm very, very familiar with and have been for years. And so that's all pretty cool, and I like that. And I was offered an opportunity to go out with another vendor last night, but I would have had to change my flight and all this stuff, and it was too much for me to do. But next year I'll be more prepared, and it'll be good. I like it's things like that I enjoy. Even though it can be very exhausting and stressful and stuff at times, like I enjoy being around, these people, and I feel like a robot at times where it's like trying to understand social things. Like I feel like I have pretty decent social awareness, to be honest. I used to think it was really bad, but being around other people, it's not really that bad. But I've always thought like I'm pretty awkward and stuff. But if I'm with people that are not awkward, then I can be not awkward. But if I'm with other awkward people, then it becomes very awkward very quickly because I don't know how to carry that. So it's one of those where I always think about interactions I had and why did I say that? Why did I do that? Like, well, how did other people feel about this thing I said or this thing I did or the way I phrased this? Like, and if you're with the wrong people a lot of times, like who don't get you, like my humor can be kind of crazy sometimes. Like I made a joke at this convention because we tasted something and it was really good and very flavorful, and I was like, yeah, it probably has like what's that shit called, it's like the fake flavoring. It's very popular in Asian cultures. I should know. MSG, that one. MSG. I said it probably has MSG in it. And and it's like, we're at a natural food expo kind of thing, but I was actually with my boss and a couple other coworkers, and I said probably has MSG in it, and like people think MSG is unhealthy, but Asian people love MSG. They eat that shit every day, and they live to be like 130. And then one of them looked at me, one of my coworkers, and I said, "Don't worry, I can say that. My wife's Filipino, And they said, "Can you though?" And I was like, obviously it's a joke, and it might be, maybe it's insensitive, but if you're with the wrong people, that becomes very offensive or insensitive. If you're with people who understand your humor, then it's fun. Everybody's having a laugh or whatever. So that's what I'm saying. Like, so sometimes it's a know your audience thing. Sometimes it's a time and place thing. And those are the things, like I said, I feel like a robot. Like I feel like I'm still learning those. I feel like I'm still like trying to understand the proper ways to interact with people in certain settings. And I think I've gotten much better at it. And doing this job helps that because I have to be social. I have to meet with people a lot and talk about things and be able to, do what I need to do kind of things, you know what I'm saying? So it is helpful. And I feel like I'm learning. I feel like I'm learning a lot. Like this is easy. Talking like this is easy, in my opinion, right? A lot of what I'm doing is stream of conscious kind of talking. Just talking. Talk. This. Talk about nerd stuff. Easy. When I'm talking to Chair, right? It's easy because I can lead that conversation. I can ask him questions. And we can have a full conversation just about whatever we're talking about. And so even like that's built for years, right? Because I used to do this with my good buddy, Captain Hot Sauce. Speaking of him, we might have an announcement soon. Okay, I can't promise anything because, again, people are busy in life, and sometimes we can all be a little busy. So there are podcast things I want to do that he and I can really bring to life because he is a very passionate person and he believes what he believes when it comes to nerd stuff, and he will fight for the way his opinion on things. And I think that's really good for certain conversation topics, right? And I can take positions that I don't necessarily believe in to kind of drive that conversation, to kind of get to both sides of it. And we can just have fun, like really fun nerd conversations about about anything, and I have some ideas for some games and stuff that we can build, like the normal stuff people are doing, like uh, I have some ideas, and so hopefully we can get something going, like at least once a month, and maybe it'll be here on the Nerd Ledger. Maybe we will revive Nerdy Boys reviews in some way, shape, or form to put this stuff out there. So we haven't fleshed out all the details, but I talked to him a bit with some ideas, and sounds like he's down, but he's got two kids, right? And he works. He's a truck driver, so he can be busy, and that's okay. People are allowed to be busy, but if we can do something like once a month and just have fun with it and really put out some interesting nerd conversations, I can give you some examples because, like I said, I've been kind of thinking about it. Like we can look at like certain franchises, like Star Wars, like what's the best and worst films in the Star Wars franchise, and have conversations about that, right? Because we probably won't agree, and maybe we will, but that can be a conversation. Again, we can play devil's advocate here or there. I came up with a game called Overrated, Overhated, or Other, where I would essentially give him a film in one of our nerd worlds, and he would tell me if he thinks it's overrated, overhated, or other. And other could be anything, right? Other could be appropriately rated. Other could be, whatever it is, right? So like one movie on there could be Spider-Man 2. A lot of people think Spider-Man 2 is one of the best Spider-Man movies ever made. Maybe he thinks it's overrated. Maybe he thinks Spider-Man 1 was better. Maybe he thinks, maybe he thinks every Spider-Man besides Spider-Man 3 is better. But maybe he thinks Spider-Man 3 is overhated, right? Like that could be those are fun discussions we could have. So that's something I want to do. We could do like little fun, like who's the best Spider-Man, because we have strong opinions on these things. Like I want to do like blind rankings, like 1 through 10. Like these are very common things that you see all over social media. Like blind rank these Manchester United legends. We're not going to do that because this isn't a Manchester United thing. It's a nerd thing. But maybe blind rank who you want to see, which superhero you want to see in live action that we haven't seen yet in live action, right? That could be one. That could be really fun. There could be other ones. And then just other fun like nerd discussion topics that we come up with. I have a couple written down, so I'm excited if we're able to do something. It might even be in person, the two of us in person sitting down recording these things, which would be really cool. So if not, I mean, Discord's fine too. Chair and I've always done it over Discord because he lives like an hour and a half away from me, and so we do it over Discord, which works perfectly fine. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm always trying to get like new voices, new people on. I was talking to some coworkers today. We're talking about nerd stuff a little bit, as we make it through the day. And I had mentioned Firefly because there's some talk about Firefly coming back in some way, shape, or form with Nathan Fillion and Summer Glau. I think they were talking. There was something out there. I honestly didn't read all of it. I don't know what the tease is. And it might just be a tease, to be honest. It might be nothing. It might be an audio book or some shit. Who knows? But there's some tease that Firefly might be coming back. And I had mentioned it. I'd mentioned Firefly because we were talking about Joss Whedon a little bit as far as like, well, it became a thing because we were talking about Spider-Man Noir, and I was asked, "Are you going to watch it in black and white or color?" And then I said, "I think I watched Zack Snyder's Justice League in black and white. I might watch it in color. Don't know." And then it got me thinking about Joss Whedon because this again maybe a hot take. I remember when Justice League came out and people were like, "Oh, Joss Whedon put all these bad jokes in there, like the one about like Batman being rich and all this stuff." But they were all in Zack Snyder's cut too, so they weren't his terrible jokes, quote unquote. They were Snyder's, but everybody blamed Joss Whedon for it. And then, I had mentioned like because of Justice League, everything came out. Joss Whedon pretty much lost his career because of all that, and also being terrible to women. So. I don't know. No. Things come out and people get canceled and this and that, and I'm not gonna defend him because I don't know anything about what happened or we just know what Ray Fisher said and what Gal Gadot kind of said, and whatever was said on the set, and then like Charisma Carpenter and some others that worked with him in the past. There's also people who have never said anything. So it's one of those. It's one of those. But Joss Whedon, despite all that, is responsible for some amazing pieces of fiction, including Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Firefly, of course. But Avengers as well, and Age of Ultron. Age of Ultron, another one I had asked him to, overrated or overhated or other. I think it's overhated, but we can have those discussions. But yeah, and so Firefly might be coming back. And I was talking to them, and they said they never heard of Firefly, which I was very disappointed in. I told them, hey, I got Firefly on Blu-ray and DVD if you want to borrow it, but it's probably also on one of the streaming services. You got to watch it. It had 14 episodes and got canceled after one season. They said, why would I want to watch that? So, Fox hated him. No, he didn't hate him. But Fox, Fox aired them out of order. Only about 9 of them actually aired, and they aired on a Friday night. So, Fox fucked Firefly, and everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. Firefly is great, okay? So, I'd like to get people like that on, too. We could talk about things. Imagine me talking to someone who watched Firefly for the first time. That could be fun. I could carry that conversation. I could ask interesting questions. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of things I still want to do, in ways that I think we can have fun and have enjoyable conversations and just escape for a little bit in this crazy world. So yeah. That's it. I mean, like I said, it's been an exhausting couple of days. I actually have work again tomorrow and the next day over the weekend, for my second job, my weekend job. That I don't work every weekend. Some weekends I have off, but this happens to be a weekend where I have to work both days, so it'll be a lot of days in a row of working more nonstop. But it'll be good. I'll make a little bit of extra money and finish my tattoos, because I got to finish all this Force stuff around Yoda. I got my Sarlacc pit on my elbow. See, I got somebody crawling out of there, but he's not gonna make it because a Sarlacc with his tongue sticking out is gonna eat him. It's gonna eat him. But yeah, I got to get all this Force stuff done. I got this little gap here. I thought about putting a Minoc in there. I'm trying to think of good things to fill gaps. I got under my wrist where Ahsoka is a little bit of space there. Like, what do I want? Do I want her lightsabers? Do I want, would a Lothcat fit there? Would the Morai fit there? I'm trying to figure that shit out. I got my cute little Tauntaun with Luke on it. I'm thinking about getting a hand tattoo. Listen up, guys. I'm nervous. I mean, I was very nervous. Not because of the pain or anything. But, like, hand tattoos, could affect job prospects. It's entirely possible. I went to this convention. So many people have tattoos. So many. Everybody's got their tattoos hanging out, just out there for everybody to see. These are all people that are high up in these industries, high enough up to be going to these events. Maybe it's not a big deal. The front security the security guard at our front desk has a hand tattoo, but he's security, so maybe it's maybe it's a little bit different rules because it's security. Maybe he's supposed to look scary with his hand tattoo. But I don't know. If I do it, I want it to be something a little bit more disarming. I'm not gonna get fucking some scary fucking Dianoga or some shit on my hand. Like this hand has got to be Star Wars themed because everything else is Star Wars themed. And so, but I was thinking about doing a little bit of a custom piece, right? Because the options really in my mind are Chewbacca or like an Ewok, something cute. But what if I got a hand tattoo of my dog as an Ewok? It's my dog, and he's adorable. And you just get the little Ewok hat on with little ears sticking out. That could be really cute. I'm just saying, it could be really cute. And just get that. Just get that. I think that'd be fucking sick. Maybe. But we'll see. We'll see. If anything actually comes. But my sleeve's almost done. I got that gap. I got some background to get done. All the Force stuff around Yoda. Some background up here with the Grievous and Leia. Bringing the lava down a little bit. I got, that space there. But yeah, I gotta fill those spaces and color in like my little Death Star up there, and some of the I got 7 TIE fighters that haven't been colored in yet. So yeah, but I don't know how long it'll take, to be honest, to finish this. Hopefully we can knock it out in like 1 or 2. But like even on the you can't really see it, but over here above Ahsoka, there's all that space where like the TIE fighters are, background Yoda. You know, there's a lot of. It looks like it could be done quickly, but it probably can't be done that quickly. So, and I gotta get Medusa and Black Bolt on the other side finished too. Like it's pretty much finished. Like, but you can't really see it. But like, it's like the space up here by my shoulder should be filled out more, so it's more equal with the Darth Maul one. The lines on Black Bolt's suit should be colored a little bit. There's still stuff that needs to be done here, you know, a little bit like around the shoulder area, I think. So, and then it's moving on to more tattoos. To be honest, I don't know how long of a break I'll take after I finish my Star Wars sleeve, but I have a wish list for tattoos, guys. I have a wish list. I want to get Lord of the Rings tattoos, because Lord of the Rings is a massive thing for me. I love it. Like, I want to get like a Nazgul somewhere, not necessarily the Witch King, but like just the Ring Wraith with the hood and maybe the horse. I think that would look sick. I love Galadriel, not the Rings of Power Galadriel. Smaug maybe, Gollum. Gollum could be a little scary. I love the map. I love all the maps. But I feel like a lot of people get the maps tattooed, and that could be a little basic. The Mouth of Sauron looks sick. Aragorn when he's sitting in Bree with his hood on and his pipe, when Frodo says, "That man over there in the corner, who is he?" And Barlam and Butterbur says, "Oh, what his right name is, I'm not quite sure. Around here, we just call him Strider." Well, before that, he says, "Ooh, he's one of them Rangers." You know what I'm saying? Strider. Fucking sick. So, yeah. I also kind of want to get non-nerd related stuff. Possibly a dragon, like a sick fucking dragon, a leopard, or a tiger. I got ideas, guys. I got ideas. You know what else I was thinking of? Listen, this could be a little crazy. Right here. On my chest, on my chesticles. Getting a Balrog. Just the head. Like the head center there. The horns wrap around like that. Oh, that could be sick. It sounds incredibly painful, though. And listen, most of the tattoos, the pain I can handle. There's only a couple where like the pain so far is really bad. On the arms, it's always kind of meh, right? Right here, this Princess Leia, by hour 3, this shit was killing me. That was some of the worst pain I've had so far. And it wasn't just the pain of that tattoo. Your arms like bent back like this with pressure on your shoulder the whole time. My shoulder was fucked after that. Right here on the wrist, Ahsoka, this shit. Listen, this one got done in the same session. So it was outlined with Yoda was outlined, and the Tauntaun was outlined. Those were all outlined in the same day. And then we decided we're going to finish Ahsoka. I was there until 1 a.m. on a weeknight. I had work the next day. This shit on the wrist hurts. Okay, it hurts. The inner elbow, the elbow ditch, it gets real spicy. Still was not as bad as the inner bicep and even part of the wrist, to be honest. The healing though is bad. The healing even on the wrist was pretty bad for me. Really thick scabs on the inner. The elbow was a fucking breeze compared. This shit didn't hurt that much. It healed immaculately. Like no scabbing, no fucking extra shit. Like it was an easy heal. It had peeled within like 2.5 weeks. Like my elbow ditch, like the area around Darth Vader, that shit took like 8 weeks to heal. Like it took a long time. It's because the skin is kind of thinner. It's worked, there's a lot of saturation, so there's a lot of overworking in there. And so it's parts of it scabbed really, really bad. But you can see, like, it came out pretty well. If you're looking, like, it's not really like color loss or anything, and if there is anywhere, like, it can be touched up easily. But that was the worst, um, as far as healing went. Pain wasn't ultra bad. It wasn't great. The inner bicep is still like probably the worst pain so far on the arm, and the wrist is surprisingly very spicy. Like, where Grievous is back here, this shit was a breeze. That shit didn't hurt at all. The Sarlacc pit, I'm telling you, man, like that was not that bad. Up here near the shoulder, some of that can get pretty bad. Even on the bicep, some of that could get a little spicy. But yeah, like, and again, like, people always say arms are super easy. You know, like, all arms are only like a 3 or 4 out of 10, which most of it, yeah, it is. But there's certain spots that are way worse. And a lot of people say, like, the chest, the sternum, part of the back, where your kidneys are, like, way, way, way worse. And everyone's pain tolerance is different. Everyone thinks different things, right? Because a lot of people say the elbow is one of the worst spots. The elbow was so easy compared to certain other spots. Like, it was very, like, there were a couple spots where you kind of go, but, like, nothing super uncomfortable. And the healing, again, like, the healing, it always makes me nervous because you could ruin a tattoo during the healing process if you don't properly take care of it. And the elbow was so easy. I was scared because, you know, you always want to rest your elbow. You're always leaning on things. And, you know, I don't want to, like, do that, you know, maybe mess it up. You might bang your elbow on something. If there's scabs, it becomes a big problem because if they, like, not like the peeling is just dead skin. That's fine. Like, obviously you don't want to rip it off, but scabs are really bad because if they come off when you don't mean for them to come off, like, if you accidentally put your elbow on something and it scrapes off or something, like, it's gonna lose ink. Like, that, like, the scab is holding the ink in there. When you pull it out, the ink doesn't have the time to settle as it's healing, and so it'll pull the ink out. And so the scabs make me very nervous because in my my elbow ditch, that was really bad, like, really bad scabbing. Like, so I had Darth Vader done first, and Darth Vader scabbed a bit, but not a whole bunch. Like, he did scab though, like, quite a lot. Like, on the side here and stuff, like, you know, but you can't even really see, like, it looks kind of intentional, but, like, around the elbow ditch, all that black, that thick black, that was all, like, all this was scabbed, all of it. So it got a little spicy, a little spicy dicey up in there. And I didn't put lotion on yet after my shower, so I gotta put some lotion on there. But yeah, well, I've kind of bullshitted for 40 minutes, but I hope you enjoyed. Yeah, like, comment, rate, review, subscribe. If you have questions for me, if you have anything you want us to ever talk about, anything, you know, you think would be cool, just let us know. You can, if you listen on Spotify, the comments are enabled. If you're watching on YouTube, you can comment. Do all the things. We'll see you next time. Much love. Have a good one. Bye bye.